Greetings, Lucky Legends. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lucky. This is Lucky Lad TV. I'm your host for this video, and today is episode 1 of Cooking with Crohn's. And this is a favorite dish of mine that is it's a tilapia dish. It's relatively simple. There's nothing that complex about it. Tilapia is a very good fish because it's mild in flavor, cooks easily, and one of the important things about it is that it is sustainable. On vegetarian, it has a very good weight conversion, which means that the amount of food that the fish eats turns relatively closely in terms of numbers to the amount of weight that the fish gains. So it's very easy to sustain in farms because it also doesn't move around that much. Fish like salmon, tuna, you can't really have them on farms because they need to eat a lot to gain a little weight, whereas tilapia can eat a lot and gain a lot of weight. So it's better for that. And basically what we're going to do here, I have 2 pounds of tilapia, just regular tilapia fillets, and I'm going to slice these up into strips using a paring knife. I want to use the smallest knife that I have because I want to do as little harm to the fish as possible. Tilapia is very fragile, and it really doesn't take that much force to cut through it. So just get yourself a small knife and you can cut through it pretty easily. So you want strips like that. You want the flat half as its own piece, and then you want to split the thicker piece into 2. And here I have a plastic bag in a, well, it's not a bucket, it's a, I don't know what it is. It's a plastic bag, and you're going to put the strips in there as you make them, because once we finish cutting the fish, we're going to marinate the fish. Because tilapia, as I said, has a very mild flavor, and we want to put more flavor in it so that it'll taste good. Otherwise, it'll taste like pretty much nothing, and that's not good eats. That's not good eats. Food that tastes like nothing is not worth eating. So I'm going to keep slicing up these tilapia. Fun fact about tilapia, it comes from Africa, and they typically, most of the fish and animals and whatnot that originate from Africa don't do that well in America, just like generally speaking. Like, you're not going to find Nile perch in American waters. But tilapia are, they're not necessarily resilient, but they're very easy to take care of. Like I said, they're one of the few fish that can, reliably be farmed, and you don't have to go out and catch them in the wild, which is good because it means they're less expensive, they're more readily available, and it's, you're buying American. Catfish is another excellent example of a great farm-raised fish, because catfish, for those of you who do not know, basically just sit around all day and suck up food that comes in front of their face, because they're basically giant vacuums. That's pretty much all they are. So we're going to keep slicing these up and putting the pieces in the bag. As for quality of the tilapia, you always want to have the highest quality fish available, and when it comes to fish, or any agricultural product for that matter, every piece is going to be a little bit different. As for cooking it, and of course I'll get into this more when I'm cooking it, which will be tomorrow, same video for you guys, but tomorrow for me. You always want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through, and you want to make sure that it is, when you buy the fish, it's a very common misconception that fish should smell fishy. If fish smells fishy, it has gone bad. Fish should smell like pretty much nothing. If it smells, it's rotten. So I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I will be making the marinade for the fish. So I will be right back. Alright guys, so just to make the marinade, you're going to need two things. You're going to need a measuring cup that can hold, well, realistically it needs to hold 3 cups of liquid, because the marinade's around 2.5, 2 3/4 of a cup, but basically 3 cups or bigger is your best bet. And you will also need 1 teaspoon measuring spoon. That's all you need. So basically this marinade is a soy sauce marinade. And the reason I went with a soy sauce marinade when I was making this recipe is because soy has a very strong flavor. Well, soy sauce does. And tilapia has almost no flavor. So I definitely wanted to go with something that could definitely take the lead role. So for 2 pounds, it's going to take a while. For 2 pounds, and I'm getting a visitor, it's going to take way too long. Hold on. I know I can remove this. Never mind, I can't remove this. Can I? Ty, go away. I can't. So, for 2 pounds of tilapia, you're going to want about 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of soy sauce. Not like a huge amount, but a good amount. I'm going to go with 1 cup. Because, you know, some of the pieces in there are kind of thick. But, you know, it's not going to make it salty. That's one of the things that people worry about. It's not penetrating deeply enough into the fish to make it salty. Come on. Almost there. There we go. 1 cup of soy sauce. That took way too long. So we have our 1 cup of soy sauce. Now we're going to add... I don't think I have half a cup. Well, half a cup of white wine vinegar. I hope I have half a cup. I'm not entirely sure. Only one way to find out. I had 1/3 of a cup. That's unfortunate. Well, you can make substitutes if you need be. Now keep in mind, this recipe calls for white wine vinegar, half a cup. I'm going to use apple cider vinegar just to finish up the half a cup, because you don't want any bossy flavors. Like balsamic vinegar is way too strong of a flavor for this. And now that we have that, we have 1.5 cups of liquid, which is a very nice thing. And then you're going to add an equal amount of water. Good water. Not bad water, good water. So you're going to add 1 cup of water, and this is going to get up to about, like I said, 2.5 cups total. So now we're at 2.5 cups of marinade, as I stated. And now we're going to start adding all the spices and whatnot. The honey is going to wait until it's in the bag. The marinade is in the bag with the fish, because honey is not going to dissolve, and we need it to dissolve. We don't want any of that stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add whole black peppercorns. Don't use the ground. We don't want that much penetration of heat, because we have other sources of heat. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of this. 1, 2. 2 teaspoons of whole black peppercorns. We're going to add a teaspoon of onion powder, a personal favorite of mine. We're going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder. You can get the top off this one. teaspoon of garlic powder. Put the top back on that first. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of cumin, which is delicious, ground cumin. And last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of paprika, just to round off the flavor and give it a little bit more heat. Again, about half a teaspoon, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon, something like that. Not too much, not too little. And then we're just going to stir this up with our measuring spoon, because, you know, no need to make extra dishes. Stir, stir, stir. Stir it up nice and good. Sink. Don't need that anymore. Get your fish over, pour marinade into fish bag. And for 2 pounds of tilapia, it should be just enough to pretty much cover all of it. And now we're going to add about, I'd say 2 teaspoons of honey. I never measure honey because it's honey. There's really no need to measure it. So there's the honey. Now here's what you're going to want to do for, you know, you want this to marinate overnight. That would be best. But you want to suck out as much air as possible. And in this case, I'm just going to push the air out. The reason you want to do that is because you want the fish to be in the marinade. You don't want it to be in the air, because air has no flavor. But now we have our fish marinating, and the next time you see me, we will be cooking the fish. So, I will be back. Alright, so, the tilapia marinated overnight, and now I'm going to cook it. The best way to cook it is in the oven. You can cook it in a pan on the stove. However, there's a little too much fish for it to really fit in one pan without there being overcrowding. And in case you can't tell, you're in the oven right now. The camera is in the oven. The oven's obviously not on. So we're going to set the oven to 350, and once it hits that temperature, I will be back. See you soon. Alright you guys, so the oven is at 350. Be careful when opening it. It is filled with hot air. So I have arranged the fish on 2 standard cookie sheets, or just pans, whatever you want to call them. We're going to slide those in there, close that bad boy up. I'd say let it ride for 7 to 10 minutes. I'm going to start checking on it in about 7 minutes, because about halfway through the cooking time, we're going to need to rotate the pans. And I will now show a graphic on the screen that explains how to rotate pans in an oven, because it's very straightforward to learn, but it's hard to explain. So, the next time you actually hear me, I will be rotating the pans. Alright you guys, so it has been about 7-ish minutes, and as you can see, there's plenty of juice coming. Well, actually, I don't know if you, yeah, you can see it. There's plenty of juice coming out of the tilapia, and now we're going to rotate the pans. You already saw the graphic, but you know, I'm going to show you in person anyway. The front of pan 2 goes where the back of pan 1 was, and the front of pan 1 goes where the back of pan 2 was. And the tilapia is looking pretty good. Still kind of soft. I'm going to let it go for another probably like 5-ish minutes, and I'll come check on it again. So I will see you guys shortly. Alright, so the fish has been going for 10 to 15 minutes. That's about how long you should expect it to take. And as you can see, it's nice and bubbly. Nice and bubbly. And as you can also see, there are some burned spots where the juice came out and then burned on the hot pan. And once you start smelling that is when you know it's done. You'll be able to smell that in the air. That's when you know it's done, is when you start to smell the burn. The fish is not burned, not even close. Let me actually move it so you guys can see the fish. Even zoom in for you guys. See, as you can see, the fish is by no means burned. The fish is perfectly done. It's nice and flaky, and it has that nice golden brown and delicious color. But when you smell the burn, that means that enough juices and proteins and sugars have basically been squeezed out of the meat, because when heat is applied, pressure increases, liquids get squeezed out. Enough has squeezed out that it was able to caramelize and then burn, which is why we have that really nice crust, sorry, not crust, that really nice color on the tilapia, and why there are those burned parts on the pan. You're going to want to let this rest on the pan for like 5 minutes, and then, you know, take it off the pan and serve. You can also put it in pretty much any glass or plastic container, preferably glass, as glass is non-porous, and it'll keep in the fridge for a week easy. I've never gotten to the point where I was freezing it because I eat it. But that's about it for this episode of Cooking with Crohn's. Golden brown tilapia, I guess is what I'm going to call it. But I want to thank you guys so very much for watching. If you enjoyed, or if you learned something, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It is very much greatly appreciated. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Best of luck out there. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.